Hey y'all, it's Jourdan here from the Enrichment Center, back to do another craft with you. Today we are going to turn this plain candle and into something really pretty, something everyone will want to see. I've got two. We're gonna make two. Other than that, you are going to need napkins. You can go to, I got these at Dollar Tree, any type of design that you like. You're also going to need Mod Podge. We've used this before for crafts. We got this at Hobby Lobby. It's not even $5. And then I'm going to use the foam brushes. So we've got a pack of assorted sizes of foam brushes, and then just some scissors, a bowl to put your Mod Podge in, and of course napkins, because crafting is not fun if you don't make a mess. So to get started, let me move the rest of this stuff out of the way. What we're going to start with is our napkins. So napkins have two different layers to them. And when you open it up, I've already torn the backside off of this one. You can't really tell, but whenever you get to a napkin, you're going to start in the corner, and this is going to be the hardest part of this. So after this, we're smooth sailing. It'll be no problem after this, but you're going to start in the corner and you're just going to start to peel off the backside. It's going to be very thin. You don't want to do it super fast because it's going to rip off. I've got one I'm going to show you, but you're just going to slowly pull the backside off. And the reason I do this is when you get ready to put it on the candle, if it's thick, I just feel like it doesn't go on as well and it gives more wrinkles in it. So we want to take the backside off. So here's one. I'd already done that one, but this is one that I'm going to show you. So just on the plain white side, I've already got this one started. You're going to start in the corner, and you can see it's just two really thin pieces. So again, we're going to slowly start to pull it off. This one, of course, is not going to go in a single sheet coming off, but I'll come back and get that side. So we're just going to slowly pull. I like to lay mine down on the table and hold down the side that we're going to keep, and then slowly pull away the back side. Again, it's just two very thin pieces, so don't pull super hard. And if you don't want to do this, you can always leave it on there. I just like to take it off because I don't want it to be super thick whenever I'm putting it on my candle. It kind of makes it about the same as tissue paper. So if you didn't have napkins, you could use tissue paper to do this as well. And you can get some really, really cool designs out there, especially seasonal things. So like around Christmas time, get a Christmas napkin and be able to open it up to put around your candle. And that takes just a plain candle and turns it into something really cool. So you can see backside, we're not going to need that, and still got the design on the front. So I'm going to get my Mod Podge. I like to shake it up a little bit. We might not even need a bowl for this one. Let's see. And this stuff is like glue, so be careful because it's going to be sticky. But that's why we've got our napkins. I think my brush, yeah, I'm not going to use a bowl. I'm going to get the smaller brush and not have to worry about pouring it into the bowl and just dip it straight into the container. So I've got my brush. It'll be able to dip right in. But if you don't have a small brush, you can pour it into a bowl. It pours easily and just be able to do it that way. So I've got my napkin. It's opened up, and I've got my candle. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around. I'm not going to cut it exactly to size yet because I don't want it to be cut too short. So laid my napkin down. I'm going to lay my candle down on it. And then I'm just going to get it kind of as close to right as I can. Leave about a extra, maybe half an inch to an inch. And I'm going to start cutting my napkin across. It doesn't have to be an exact straight line because, again, this is just extra. And we'll trim it down once it's on there. But try to get it as straight as possible. So now, when I hold it up, you can see when I put it even with the table, there is a little bit left over, and we're gonna be able to tuck it down in the candle and cut it off. So that is no problem there. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start with, I'm gonna put a little bit of Mod Podge on my brush, then I'm gonna brush it on the candle. Then I'm gonna put the paper down and then brush it on the outside of the paper. So we're just gonna go in little sections. Starting, I like to start at the bottom, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, if you want to start at the top. I just like to start at the bottom so I can wrap it around the top. So just in a thin layer, going all the way around. Make sure you get all the way to the bottom edge of the candle, because we want that paper to stick to the bottom. And I'm going to go all the way around the candle. It doesn't have to be super thick, just a thin layer all the way around. This is where it's going to start to get a little sticky on your table, because I put it all the way down to the bottom. And when I sit it down on my table, it's going to make it a little sticky. So just be careful with that. Now I'm going to take my napkin, and starting at the very bottom, I'm going to wrap the napkin around. I like to do it this way so that I can go back and add some more up here, because we're going to have it all over. I'm going to get my scissors and start to cut this extra piece off here now since I know how much is going to go around. So just going to cut it where it'll overlap just a tiny bit. Again, doesn't have to be in a straight line. You can see I've got it started. We're just cutting straight up. Get that extra piece away. And now I can go back. I'm going to start on the side where it's not overlapping, so I can go ahead and make sure that piece is going to be completely down. Just very lightly, we're going to go over the napkin, trying to get all the wrinkles out, because any wrinkles that are in there when you brush it are going to be in there when this dries. Again, make sure you go over the bottom. We want it to be nice and secure on there. Keeping a thin coat all the way around. All right, when we get to that crease, the easiest thing to do is now I'm going to fold it down a little bit. So you can see I don't want to fold it down to touch, but I fold it down a little bit. That way I can add the Mod Podge all around it. And when we do the other one, I'll show you another way to do it, just a different way that you can go about doing the same project. So now we're going to go back to the inside, start putting that thin layer on all the way around the candle. And I like to do the bottom first, so that way I know it's going to be stuck on where it needs to be, and then work my way up the candle. So now I've got it. It's kind of hard to see, but I've got my Mod Podge about up to here. So I'm going to raise that napkin back up. Trying to get it all the way up without any wrinkles. And I can press it down on the candle. Just very lightly press it down, trying to get all those wrinkles out. Just very lightly pulling it up towards the top. And on this back side where it overlaps, just keep it consistent with which side you tuck under first. So I'm going to keep going with this side, and then I'll tuck this side over. Now to get this little flap right here to stick better, we're going to put a little bit of Mod Podge on the outside of this part of the napkin. So this will put it down like glue. So we're going to put just a tiny dab on the outside. And then this flap will go down a lot smoother there. And then of course we're going to go on the outside of that as well. So this looks white when you put it on, but it's gonna dry clear. So now again, I've got it almost to the top. I'm gonna fold down a little bit here. and go all the way. I'm gonna go to the rim of my glass here, just because I really want it to be stuck down on my candle. So this Mod Podge will go a long way. You don't have to worry about running out with just doing quick projects like this. It's gonna go a long way. We've used it several times and we're not even a fourth of the way empty. So now I'm gonna fold that napkin back up, being careful to keep all the creases out. And again, being consistent with that side that we put down first. Now I'm gonna get the Mod Podge and go all the way up the side right here, so that flap that goes over will be nice and secure. And we go over all of it anyway, so this will just help hold that crease down. Trying to pull it tight so all the wrinkles come out. And then we're gonna start, I like to start with the crease so I can make sure I get it down smooth. And just slowly taking our Mod Podge all the way up to the top. I'm gonna trim the top down after I put Mod Podge all around it. It makes it a little sticky this way, but I like to have it all covered before I trim the top down. So now what I'm gonna do is just, we already did the bottom, we're gonna go all the way up our napkin on the outside, making sure it's got a thin coat all the way around it. So you put the Mod Podge on the candle first, and then put your napkin down or your tissue paper, whatever you're using, and then do a thin coat of Mod Podge on the outside. So you can do it if you get some wrinkles in there, or you can put wrinkles in purposefully, give it a little bit of texture, however you would like to do it. And then I'm going to show you on the other one, we're going to do it a little bit different. So you have two different ways you can go about doing this project. Almost back to the beginning. Make sure you're being careful whenever you are doing this, because you have to remember it is a napkin and we've taken the back side off, so it's going to be thin now. You don't want it to rip. So now I've got about this much hanging over the top of my candle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the top with my scissors and cut it off. A little bit can be tucked over into the rim of the glass, but you don't want it all the way down because it is going to be a candle, so you are going to be burning it. So I like to go just right above the glass because I want it to be covered, but I don't want it to hang down too far. I'm just going to cut the extra off the top. Be sure if you are using your scissors for this part, whatever you're using to cut it, make sure you wipe your scissors off when you're done so that it doesn't have Mod Podge dried to it, because it'll make it sticky next time you get ready to use it. So now we're going to get our Mod Podge again and just go over the top like we were the rest of it to make sure that that napkin is nice and secure on the top. So this is going to completely cover my glass. It took a plain white candle and made it this nice, pretty and red and white checkered design. And no one would ever know that it was just a plain white candle. And I didn't say this earlier, but we got our candle from Dollar Tree. So this is a very quick, inexpensive craft you can do to spruce up your decorations in your house. Again, you can do it by the season. I know a lot of times Dollar Tree especially has seasonal napkins, things like that. I've done them before, you know, when they had Hello Spring and flowers all around it. So this is really it. You're going to let this dry. It looks kind of crazy right now because the Mod Podge is white because it's wet, but it will dry clear and it'll be that pretty red and white design that we had earlier when we started. If you can, just leave it right where it is, so you don't have to touch it and get all sticky. But if you have to move it, that's fine. Just wash your hands before you touch anything else. So I'm going to move this one out of the way, and I am going to show you another one. So with the last one, let me wipe the table up where Had some on here before. So with the last one, we did a little bit at a time, which is fine. With this one, I'm gonna put Mod Podge over the entire thing and then put the napkin on. So you might like that way better. You might wanna go a little bit at a time. It's completely up to you. But I do need to cut my napkin to the right size first. So again, I just sit it down on the, lay my napkin out, lay the candle on it, and cut about an inch or so above the candle. Want to try to keep it in a straight line, but again, we're going to be trimming it at the end, so it's okay if it's not quite straight. Move that extra out of the way. I always like to double check just before I get started. So it's folding up on me. So we can see just a little bit there. I'm actually going to go ahead and cut this one since we'll be wrapping it when we get started. Where my tag was on the candle. I'll tell you how to time getting that tag off. It's still a little sticky there. So I don't want there to be a super big flap. I'm going to try to measure it out. All right. Again, just eyeballing this because it doesn't have to be exact. As long as it does overlap, we're going to be good to go. Cutting off the excess first this time because we won't be able to cut it once we start because we'll have the Mod Podge around the whole thing. So let's go ahead and get started. Instead of going around, I'm going to start with one side and just top to bottom. I'm going to go ahead and coat this entire thing. So the candle is white and so is the Mod Podge, so it's kind of hard to see, but just from the very top to the bottom, we are doing our Mod Podge. Just a thin coat. It does not have to be completely white from the Mod Podge for it to stick. It's going to stick. Just making sure you cover the whole thing. Make sure you get up in the crease of the rim too, so that it can fully be secure up there whenever we put that napkin on. Now this is where it can get a little sticky because we're covering the whole thing. So be careful where you're holding it. I'm going to try to hold it around the rim until the end, but it'll still cover it. It'll still get on me by the time we get to the end. Make sure you're getting the bottom too, because we're going to have that napkin tucked in right there around the bottom and the top. So finishing up, coming around, making sure I got the bottom. Okay, I'm going to put mine right here and see if I can do this without moving it anywhere else so that it doesn't end up extremely sticky in here. All right, moving the Mod Podge out of the way, and I'm going to take the side that I cut. Which side did I cut here? We're going with this side. We have to add more, it'll be all right because I've still got it left over. So we're going to start at the bottom. I'm going to just slowly line it up. And we're going to wrap around. And you can see I did not. Oh, yeah, I did. I chose the right side. Gonna go all the way around. This side we can do all the way down now. I'm gonna run all the way up. And then do the flap across. Making sure to pull tight, but not too tight because we don't want it to rip. I just want that to get stuck all the way on so then I can go back with my Mod Podge. And like last time how we had to put it on the napkin for that flap to stick, we're going to have to do the same thing. So just putting a little bit on the napkin so we can get the overlap to stay down. Just going in a straight line down the glass. You can see there. Now this part will stick. Very gently pat that down. Now we're going to go over the entire thing with our Mod Podge. I'm going to press it around the top just before I put the Mod Podge down. Try to press all the wrinkles out if there are any. Try to press them out again. It does add some texture, so if you like that, then that's fine too. So now doing our Mod Podge around the outside, just pick one spot and go from there. I'm gonna go all the way from bottom to top again. Since it's already on here, that's easier. I am gonna stop right before I get to the top because I'm gonna have to go back and trim that excess again. But other than that, we're ready to cover the whole thing. Don't paint it on too quickly because it will rip. So you got to be careful while you're brushing it on. So like I said earlier, just a real quick little fun project you can do. Decorate your house if you've got your kids, grandkids, whoever coming over to the house for the day or something and you're looking for something to do. This is always fun. Fun to paint something on and decorate it. So we're almost back to the overlap. Let me get that part down. The part that is lapped over, we want to make sure we get that nice and glued down because we don't want that, we don't want a piece hanging off or anything like that. So I do it a little bit thicker where the overlap is, just to make sure that piece stays down, but still not anything too thick. Before I trim the top, I'm going to pick it up and get the bottom and make sure it's completely sealed down at the bottom. There is a piece that's hanging under. You can just brush that under and no one will ever know that it was like that. So making sure we get all the way around the bottom. All right, now we can go back and trim that top part. So again, I'm just going to go right above the glass, cut it around. So I don't want too much hanging over into the candle for when it's burning. Then this is the last bit and we will be all done. So we're gonna just brush that over the lip there. Make sure it's down. Because just like on the bottom, you don't want any pieces sticking out around the edge. So make sure that part is brushed down nice and well. And that looks pretty good. So you can see I did two different ways you can put it on. However you want to put it on is fine, as long as we get the final product right. So again, very few supplies, very cheap, something fun you can do, make it seasonal. But that's all we've got for you today. So we will see you next time. Bye.